everybody, Monty Reed here for YouTube, and today I'm going to give you a jetpack update. As some of you know, I am planning on building a jetpack. The idea is to function similar to the Iron Man suit. We've, over the years, talked about the life suit and how the rescue worker model is capable of lifting 2,000 pounds. Most of the athletic versions of the suits are capable of jumping 8 inches off the ground. It's capable of going up and down stairs. And we are planning on setting a new world record for the 100-meter dash in a powered exoskeleton. So when thinking about jumping, and all of the capabilities of an exoskeleton, one of the questions that's always asked is, does it fly? And my answer's always been, not yet. So once we get the jetpack functioning, it'll need to be able to carry not just the pilot, but also the 75-pound exoskeleton. So our payload's a little bit higher, and so we're looking at mini turbine jet engines, and those run about $4,500 each. And I've always loved ramjets since I was in grade school. In fact, the ion ramjets that were developed for the Voyager probes has always been something that's fascinated me. And I've always wanted to have ion ramjets. We just don't have a fuel source powerful enough for them to effectively function in a gravity environment. Ion ramjets function very well in outer space. For those of you who don't know, the ion ramjet basically has a jet chamber, rocket chamber, and there's a scoop on the front to allow stuff to come in. I was going to say atmosphere, but in the Earth it allows air in. In space it just allows not just the vacuum to pass through, but it's a scoop for particles. And inside the ramjet chamber is electrodes that charge the ions. And the Voyager probe had, it's oxide, it's galvanized, it's the powder, it's powder from galvanization, zinc, it's zinc oxide. And so zinc oxide is very philic for hydrostatic charge, so it just means it loves it. And so zinc oxide is a very effective material to use in an ion ramjet. So basically you have a chamber, a little electrode, and then the powder is released into the chamber. It's electrified with the electrode, and then those particles will leave the ramjet chamber seeking ground. And so if you're in outer space, that means it'll go anywhere. And because of inertia, when the particle pushes away from the ramjet engine, then it pushes the ship in the forward direction. And the way the Voyager probe was designed is it had a nuclear radioisotope battery, which is basically a nuclear battery that never wears out. I mean, you could call it Ouroboros, unending, infinite, that just never ends. Kind of like the Ouroboros batteries from Red Dwarf. The nuclear isotope batteries would work really well. In fact, you could have one to run your car and you'd never need fuel. Problem is, we have humans with a capacity for evil, the terrorists, that if you had radioisotope batteries everywhere, they would pull them out and use them for dirty bombs. And so because of that, Department of Energy regulates that kind of stuff, and you just can't get a nuclear isotope battery. And when I originally designed the life suit, it was going to be electric servos running on a nuclear isotope battery, but I just couldn't get permission from the Department of Energy to have those. And so we had to further develop other drivetrains, and that's why we ended up going with compressed air. So back to the jetpack. The ion ramjet functions in that way. The Voyager probe, after it ran out of zinc oxide, there's a scoop on the front, so space dust, particles that are in space would be sucked in, collected, and then spit out the back. And so that's how the Voyager probe went beyond Pluto and just continues going. And there's science fiction stories, including Star Trek and others, where Voyager with a little dirt covering it up, Voyager was the thing seeking its creator. And so, you know, it's just the idea that Voyager gets way off hundreds of years in the future and gets scooped up by some aliens, and they're coming back to Earth because of it. There's other stories where the Voyager probe, they put a map showing the aliens how to get back to Earth, and gave them our genetic code, so you know, our DNA. And so in some science fiction accounts, the aliens used the DNA to design bioweapons against humans. Others used the DNA so that they could synthesize copies so that they could make themselves look like us. So anyway, maybe it wasn't a good idea. Who knows? You know, the jury's still out on that. So I've always loved ramjets. So today I'm going to be building my first ramjet. It's a ramjet engine. It doesn't have any turbines. The turbines, the mini turbines I want to use for the jetpack, $4,500, need 6 of them. There's a very powerful jetpack that only uses 5, 1 on the back, 2 on each arms. I'm going to put 2 on the back and 2 on each arm when I buy those. But in the meantime, I'm going to experiment. Today I'm going to be building a hybrid propane, kerosene, diesel ramjet. So it'll have a propane burner pilot light and a throttle that releases additional propane, and then that propane will be used to ignite kerosene or diesel from 3 other nozzles within that combustion chamber. So there'll be pulse width modulation later hooked up to the fuel pump to regulate the speed of the fuel, and then of course we need one-way check valves to prevent the fuel from igniting back up the fuel line and causing the tank to explode. And so we still got a lot of things to experiment with, and I'll be using the Arduino to control the pulse width modulation, and also coming up with some experimental protocols to regulate the flow of the fuel based on the suggestion from the throttle, and adjustments that will be made based on the temperature inside the combustion chamber, etc., etc. So, you know, there's a lot of math to go along with it, and it'll be relatively simple because the computations will be handled by the Arduino. But the fun part is we're basically going to weld up some stuff and hook up some propane and diesel to it and pull the trigger, and it should make some flame that comes out, providing some thrust. And so later we might experiment with buying some turbines. I thought about building the turbines, but I really don't have the time, so I'll probably buy the turbines and install them myself. Like I said, later I'll just go ahead and buy the $4,500 engines, get 6 of those and slap that together. But in the meantime, I want to go ahead and just build the ramjet, and once we get that functioning, I'll run up a video showing it the tests. But pretty excited about that. I swung by Harbor Freight yesterday and picked up a shopping cart full of stuff, and spent $120 so far. Got to get by Home Depot or Lowe's later today to get some additional parts, and I should be able to get the ramjet put together and functioning later today. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get fuel injection nozzles from the auto parts store, and I'm just not sure what size to start with, so I'll probably buy a variety. I found a few on AliExpress, but I mean, there's literally hundreds of nozzles to choose from. So probably just going to swing by the auto parts store and ask them if they can give me their smallest, and, you know, get a variety of them. They're not that expensive, but I want to have 3 that are in sets of 3, and we'll experiment with different nozzle sizes, because you want to be able to vaporize the fuel into the chamber and have it combust, obviously. The propane pilot light and propane thrust will have a potentiometer connected to the throttle, so that when I increase the thrust of increase the flow of the propane, it will also, the potentiometer will read the location of the lever and put that into the Arduino. Initially it'll just match same for same, so more propane means more KD or kerosene diesel mix, And of course, there's fuel mixtures too. You know, figuring out how to play around with the fuel mixture. Probably just start with straight kerosene and then play around with that and go from there. So that's where I'm at with the Jetpack update. Check back for more videos of the progress of this project. We should see a video every week coming up with some progress. And as you know, we're also working on the new athletic version of the life suit. My friend Doug Bell calls it the fun suit because it's not a medical device. It's like building a dirt bike. You know, anybody could use one of these. So there'll be no interference from the FDA, and that should help us keep the price down. Because the reason we have to sell the exoskeletons for $150,000 is medical trials. $200 million, and you know that's just the legal fees for the medical trials, and so. You know, it doesn't even count the cost of the actual engineering and design of the suit, but just the legal fees for the medical approval was over $200 million. And so this time around, we're just gonna skip all that and just go right for a fun suit. You know, who wants a mech? And we're gonna build it to be athletic. And eventually this athletic version of the life suit is the one that somebody is gonna wear and win the Boston Marathon and then get disqualified for unfair advantage. But the idea is to get freedom to paralyzed people so that they don't have to participate in Special Olympics. They can participate in regular Olympics. You know, it'll be an interesting ethics discussion. You know, there's a huge medical and ethics discussion for surgeons. You know, what if you have a Olympic hopeful that comes to you and he's already won a bronze, and he comes to you because he wants elective surgery to have his legs removed so that he can be fitted with prosthetic limbs, so he can lose 30 pounds off of his weight and have those spring leaf prosthetic limbs replaced so that he can get the gold. If you're the surgeon, is it ethical for you to remove someone's limbs so they can simply win? Or even not even win, it wouldn't even be a guarantee. Is it ethical to remove limbs so that someone can have a competitive advantage to wear a prosthetic in an Olympic event? Is that ethical? Who am I to judge? I mean, if somebody wants to poke a hole in their ear or their lip or their nose, or, you know, 100 years ago, elective surgery might have been maybe not, you know, piercing or whatever. You know, there's people that do, they do surgery on their own brains. And, you know, some people would say, you know, is it ethical? Well, who am I to say? You know, if somebody wants to look it up, you'll be shocked. There's people that cut open their head and they do surgery on their own brains. There's people that do surgical implants. They're doing mods to themselves. They're taking the fiction out of science fiction. They're going forward. They actually install magnets under their skin and use it for locks and doors and you know, a lot of people that put a magnet under their skin so they can have a plate and just stick their CD player or the MP3 player or their phone on their arm without having to have a strap. You know, is that ethical? Is it moral? We're entering some interesting territory with basically steampunk coming to reality. So, sorry I rambled there a little bit. I hope that you enjoy my YouTube channel. Let me know if there's any videos that you would like to see that you haven't seen yet. Still doing quick and easy meals, slam cooking. We'll do some more money counting videos soon. I hope that you all enjoy those. And of course, as always, updates on the life suit and other technology. This is Monty Reed for YouTube with the Jetpack update. Have a great day.
Keep thriving, my friends.